Kejap saya punya kontak tak hidup agak. Alright, so let us continue with structures of the markets. There are four, as I said. Basically, we are done with perfect competitions. So what I'm going to do today is to share with you the second structures, which is monopoly. Right, and I'm going to go briefly on monopolistic competitions and oligopoly. We just focus on two big structures, which is perfect competitions and monopoly. Right. So earlier in the perfect competitions, we know that there are many firms in the market. There are many buyers, and there is no restrictions in the long run for firms to come in or leave. So when we have many firms in the markets, and each of the firms is not going to have influence on market price. So what happens is that all firms in the market, in perfectly competitive markets, is gonna take market price. They're gonna charge the price which is set by the market. They don't set their own price. So this is the outcomes of perfect competitions when there is a lot of competitions in the market. Right. So today, what we are going to do, first, we are going to look into monopoly types of markets, and then we are going to at the end of the chapters, we are going to compare, right, the difference between perfect competitions and also monopoly. We are going to look into whether monopoly or perfect competitions is going to charge higher price, right, or they going to sell, right, lower outputs in the markets. We are going to compare within one framework between perfectly competitive market and also monopoly. Right. So what is monopoly? Monopoly basically is markets that produce goods that has no close substitutes. When there is no close substitutes, basically there is no competitions. Right? There is no competition. And also the second elements of monopoly, there is only one supplier. There is only one seller in the market, which is protected by or from competitions, right, through various ways. There are few ways to protect competitions in the markets. It can be in terms of laws or legal, right? Just like Petronas, for example. Petronas in Peninsular Malaysia is given rights to extract oil and gas. So Petronas, the monopoly power, Petronas is protected by law, right? By Petroleum Development Act in 1974. And also, in the case of electricity, for example, right? TNB is protected by laws because only TNB is allowed to produce and sell. To sell, actually, to produce, there are other companies that supply electricity to TNB, but to sell to final consumer, only TNB is allowed. Right, only one firm is allowed to sell electricity to commercial and final consumers. So there are various ways to protect firms from competitions. After this, you're gonna see some of the ways that produce monopoly in the markets. Right, there is no substitute. If there is no substitute, so basically there is no competitions in the markets. Right, there is no close substitutes. if the monopoly, if the firms increase the price, for example, and in a market without close substitutes, we don't have many choices. Like it or not, we still have to pay, right? Because there is no alternative in the markets. Right. So these are two things, two key features. Right, monopoly, right, has no close substitutes, right, and barriers to entry. And substitutes is basically, and also key barrier to entry is actually is strongly related to level of competitions. Right, if there is barriers to entry, for example, there is no other firms to come and compete in the markets. So basically, there'll be no competitions. And then, right, the barriers comes in the forms of, as I said earlier, can be in terms of legal, right, can be in terms of natural monopoly. After this, you're going to see the reasons that explains the barriers to monopoly power. Right, so these are the barriers. These are the sources of monopoly power in the markets. First is natural monopoly. Second is because of ownership of certain key resources, and also the last one, as we discussed earlier on Petronas and TNB, monopoly which rises because of legal, right, because of law, right, set by the governments. Natural monopoly is a kind of monopoly that rises because of economy of scale. In certain industries, in certain markets, the best to serve the markets by using only one firms, right? Because in some markets, it requires a lot of capital expenditure. The cost is high, so in order to reduce the cost, firms should be allowed to cover the the whole markets, right? The whole markets. So if we split the markets into few segments and allow multiple firms to serve the markets, and then cost per unit, right? Cost per unit gonna be higher, right? So so the best way in these situations when the industries requires a lot of capital expenditure, right? So the best way is only to have one firm to serve the market. We have multiple firms, and then cost will not be minimum, right? We have to split the markets into few segments, and each of the segments is given to different company, right? And different companies they have to invest the same amount of money to produce the products. In industries that requires a lot of TNB actually, without legal aspect, without law requirements, I think TNB is also a good example of natural monopoly because to produce electricity require a lot of money, require a lot of capital investments. If the governments, let's say, the governments allows multiple firms to serve the markets, and I don't think we can enjoy the current tariff that we have now, right? The price that we pay now, the price is going to be higher if we have multiple firms in the markets, because in utility industry, in electricity, for example, right, that requires a lot of capital expenditures. Right, to build the dam, for example, for hydroelectricity is very costly. Right, to produce or to develop power stations, right, requires billions of ringgits. Right, it's not cheap to produce electricity. Right, so this is known as a natural monopoly. So we can describe natural monopoly through these diagrams. Right, for example, this is a long run average cost curve. This is demands. Right, so you can see that let's say we need to serve markets for 4 million kilowatt hours amount of electricity that we need to produce. Right, so we can do this by giving the rights to one firm to produce to serve the whole market of 4 millions, right, and the cost is going to be 5 cents per kilowatt hours. But we can also split the market into two, right? By giving half to one company and another half to another company, right? If we split the market into two, so each of the markets gonna sell 2 million kilowatt hours, right? It's going to produce 2 million kilowatt hours, and the cost is going to be higher. So consumers in the markets, they have to pay higher price because of this, because we split the markets into two. So in this example, the best way to serve the markets is through natural monopoly by giving the whole market to one company, because this industry require a lot of capital expenditure. Right. So second is ownership's barriers to entries. The common example of this is De Beers. De Beers is a company in South Africa. This is nothing to do with beers productions. Right. De Beers is a company in South Africa that owns lands that contains about 90% of world diamond stocks. Right, so De Beers basically has great monopoly powers over diamond industries because they own the lands that contains a lot of diamonds. Right, so in this example, so De Beers basically monopolize the market for pure diamonds, right, through ownership of key resources. Right, in this example, they own lands, right, that contains a lot of diamonds. Right, legal barriers, this is the ones that we discussed earlier about Petronas. So Petronas is given the rights to extract oil and gas in Peninsula Malaysia, but the rights was given only for extractions, right? Processing of crude oil to refine oil, right? It's not monopolized by Petronas. Only extractions from the grounds. Extractions of oil and gas is given to Petronas. But for oil and gas industries, there are other industries needed to, for example, to process the crude oil into refined oil or processed oil. In that segments, right, in that industries, in that markets, it is not monopolized by Petronas, because in Malaysia, we have also other companies that get involved in processing of crude oil. Right, so in the past, we used to have, Esso, for example, in Port Dickson, but, the plants was sold to Petrons. Right, so they get involved in processing of crude oil into refined oil. Right, so that is one example in Malaysia for monopoly because of legal barriers. So no other companies can come and compete with Petronas, right, in extractions of oil and gas in Malaysia, because it was stated in Petroleum Development Act in 1974. Only Petronas is allowed to extract oil and gas. So there are examples for US, for example, public franchise like US Postal Services, right, which is given the rights to deliver first class mail. Right, only US Postal Services has the rights to deliver first class mail in US. But first class mail, just like in Malaysia, is getting less popular now. Look at what happens to Post Malaysia. Now we go for express mails. There are many other options for express mail. Right, government license, license to practice law, or medicines, patents, copyrights, like pharmaceutical industry. When pharmaceutical companies discovers new drugs, right, and they apply for patents, and normally they'll be given protections, right, for a certain number of years, 10 years, 15 years. So no other companies can copy or imitate their new drugs. Right, so this is common, this is normal in pharmaceutical industries. This is given to firms to encourage them to do more R&D. If their products is not protected by law, then I don't think firms they have incentive to spend a lot of money for research and developments. So this is the nature of pharmaceutical industries. right, patents, copyrights, like books, for example, we produce certain type of books, right, or module, and then you apply for copyrights, and no other persons, right, can copy your product, right, and then basically you own the monopoly powers over the products. Right, so price setting in monopoly, there are two types, but we are going to focus only on the first one, which is single price monopoly. We're not going to go into price discriminations because this is not part of the syllabus. Right, so we just focus on single price. Single price means they set one price for all. Right, price discriminations is, in some cases, right, the companies is not only monopoly but also other companies they set different prices for different customers, right, they discriminate customers based on certain classifications like in US, or I'm not sure in Asia, but in US if you're a student, then you're gonna get some, right, some discounts give you, you go to barber shops to cut your hair, you're gonna get student price, right? If you take trains, if you take bus, you can have student price, right? So these are examples of price discriminations, right? If you go for cinema in US, I'm not sure in Asia, but we don't have student price, right, for cinema. Do you have?
No.
So you just pay the same price, okay? Right? So we don't have this. But in US, they have this. They have many discounted price, okay, for students, okay, for old people, right? For different group of people, especially students. Okay? I still remember, okay, when I was in US, right? There are many practice of this, price discrimination. Okay? They charge lower price for students, even for university students. Right, so price marginal revenue, right? So we're gonna use the same approach for profit maximization, just like perfect competitions that you have learned earlier. It's just that the demand curve for monopoly is not like what we have seen in perfect competitions because in perfect competitions the demand curve for firms is flat, but when it comes to monopoly, right, because there is only one firm in the markets, and the firm itself actually represent the markets, right? So in the case of monopolies, you have thousands, many firms. You need to total up, right? The outputs produced by all firms to get market supply, for example, right? But in the case of monopoly, because there is only one firm, right, and that firm can represent the market as a whole, right? So when it comes to monopoly, we're going to have a downward sloping demand curve, because as I said, monopoly can represent the market. So we're going to take the market demand curve, for firm, firms gonna use market demand curve because there is only one firm in the market, right? So then we're gonna have a downward sloping demand curve. This is the curve for the market. This is also the curve for the firms because there is only one firm in the market, right? And mathematically, if you have a downward sloping demand curve, you're not gonna have the same, right? Like earlier. In perfect competitions, when you have a flat, right? When you have a flat or horizontal demand curve, then marginal revenue is always equal to price or equal to demand curve. That is true when you have a flat, right, demand curve. But when you have a downward sloping demand curve, that is no longer true, right? So mathematically, right, if you draw marginal revenue curve, then you're going to get marginal revenue curve which is lower, which lies below, right, demand curve. This is demand curve, this is marginal revenue curve, and mathematically, right, the slope of this, the slope of marginal revenue curve is going to be twice of this. If the slope of this is 1, the blue lines, the slope is 1, and the slope scale marginal revenue curve, the yellow curve here is going to be 2. Right? If the slope here is 2, then this is going to be 4. Right? This is mathematical relations between marginal concepts and demands. Right? So demand curve is going to be like this, and marginal revenue is going to be like this, and there. Okay, we just follow the standards. Right, so there are 2 ways. Okay, I'm not going to explain this because we have discussed these concepts in perfect competitions. They are the same things. Right, so this is profit curve. Right, this is marginal revenue curve. Right, and you have seen this in in demands. Right, so at the midpoints, for example, the elasticity is equal to 0. Sorry, is equal to 1. Right here. Right, less than this, right, elasticity is going to be less than 1. Okay, above this elasticity is going to be more than 1. Right, so this is marginal revenue curve. When elasticity is equal to 1, right, marginal revenue is going to be 0. Right, if elasticity above this, above these points, which means that when demand is elastic, right, marginal revenue is going to be positive. But when demand is inelastic, marginal revenue is going to be negative. Right? So this is the standard relationship that we have seen earlier in demand and also in perfect competitions. Right, for profit maximization, we're going to use the same formula, the same approach. We try to equate marginal revenue, marginal cost. Right, we use the same concepts. Right, from the profit equations, and then we transform the profit equations into marginal profit equations, in which marginal profit is equal to marginal revenue minus marginal cost. And then when marginal revenue, right, hopefully you still remember this. Okay, when marginal revenue is greater than marginal cost, you need to increase the outputs. When marginal cost is greater than marginal revenue, you need to reduce the outputs. Right? And the optimal solutions would come at the points at which marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. Right, the same rules, just that they're gonna have different diagrams. Right, this is the earlier ones, the standards, the easier ones. I'm not gonna test you on this in the exam. Right, so for the first approach, just like what you have seen in perfect competitions, in which for the first approach, you just need to find the biggest positive gaps between total revenues and total cost, right, which is at these points. Right, this is the biggest positive gaps. Right, here above this, the gap is negative. Right, profits is negative here, and profits is also negative here. The positive profits is between this, and the biggest gap is around here. Right, so that was the first approach. Okay, this is the second approach. So in the second approach, we just use the same criteria. Okay, we equate marginal revenue and marginal cost. Okay, just that in monopoly, the marginal revenue it takes different shapes. Okay, it is downward sloping. Right, so in perfect competitions, marginal revenue is flat. Right, so you just need to find the points at which marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, which is here. Right, so this is the points that will give maximum profits for monopoly. Right, so in the case of monopoly, when this is the points, and the outputs produced is 3, right, 3 haircuts per hour. Right, then the firms gonna charge this. They're gonna charge $14 per head, per haircut, right? Because this is demand curve, right? So this is gonna be the price, right? This is gonna be the price. This is the quantity, right? So when you have this, right, at the same time you have ATC here, and ATC cross this dotted lines at this point. So this is gonna be the average price, right? This is gonna be the average. Sorry, this is gonna be the average cost, So average cost per head is 10, right? And then 10 multiplied by 3. So the whole area here represents total cost for the monopoly, right? And the total revenues, which is, P price multiplied by quantity, which is, 14 multiplied by 3, right? So this is going to be the total revenue, right? So in this example, as you can see, right, total revenues is bigger than, or greater than total cost, right? And the blue area here represents profits for firms, right? You have 42 here, $42 for total revenues, and then you have $30 for total costs, right? So the gap between these two is $12 is profits, right? Profits for monopoly. Right. So the procedures, the process are the same, just that they have different patterns for demand and marginal revenue. Right. One thing about monopoly, because in the long run, there'll be no entry of new firms. If the industry is making a lot of money in the short run, right, in the long run, no firms is allowed to come and compete because of barriers. Right, so this is the main difference between monopoly and perfect competitions in the long run. Because in perfect competitions, there is no barriers. Right, if the firm is making, if the industry is making a lot of money in the short run, then in the long run, that will attract new firms to come and compete. But in the case of monopoly, because there is barriers, right? Even if firms is making billions of profits, that will not allow new firms to come in because of barriers, either in the forms of a law, or, right, legal barriers, natural monopolies, or probably because of ownership of resources. Now, we want to compare between monopoly and perfect competitions. Which one's better in the forms of, welfare generators for consumers and producers. I mean, in terms of prices that they charge, you can easily see that, monopoly gonna charge. This is the monopoly. This is, right, demand and supply for the markets, right? Right, we know that, right, firms can perfect competitions. We combine both into this framework. Right? There are two elements here. Perfect competitions and monopoly. So we know that this is the market curve. This is supply and demand for the whole markets, right? Which is valid for both monopoly and perfect competitions, because a monopoly is only one firm. The market, so the firms represents, right, the whole market. At the same time, the same curve, right, the same demand and supply can be used for perfect competitions, because we know that when it comes to perfect competitions, right, firms in the markets can gonna charge this price, right? This is market price, and firms can perfect competitions can gonna charge this. So this is gonna be the price for perfect competitions, right? So this is gonna be the output produced by all firms, right, in the market for perfect competitions, right? So this is the output produced by the monopoly, right, which is this which is based on MC equal to MR, and this is the price charged by the monopoly, right? If you compare between these two, monopoly, because there is no competitions and there is no close substitutes in the market, they always have the power, right, to command or to charge higher price. Right? So price is always higher in the case of monopolies case compared to competitions. Right? Perfect competitions. Because of competitions that push down the price in the markets. So from consumers' point of view, right? Consumers' point of view, right? So perfect competition is always better than monopoly because with perfect competition's price is always lower and the availability of output is more, right, as compared to the ones produced by monopoly. Monopoly they produce less output but they charge higher price. But in perfect competition, you're gonna have a lot of output of products in the markets, and the price is also low, right? As compared between these two. So from consumer point of view, so perfect competition is better. But of course, firms they always want, right? They always want monopoly or monopoly powers because with power they can charge higher price. Right. So this is the outcome. But before that, I think you need to know about this consumer surplus and producer surplus because these are the concepts used by welfare economists to describe the benefits that producer and consumer get from the markets. Right. So first, let us define what is consumer surplus. Right. Then we move to producer surplus. Right. So let's say this is the market scale for perfect competitions, right? So this is supply, this is demand, this is the price that they sell in the markets, right? So demand curve, right? What is demand curve? The demand curve indicates the maximum price that consumers is willing to pay. Right, for example, let's say, let's take here, for example, for the first units, right? So this is the price that they are willing, right, to pay, that consumers is willing to pay. But what they actually pay in the market is this, right? Because in the market, one price for all quantities, right? They don't charge different prices for the first, second, third, and so on. Right? In the market, you just pay, one price for all, right? Which is market price. So this is what they are willing to pay, but this is what they actually pay, right? So consumer surplus means the benefits that the consumer gets by paying less than what they are willing to pay. They are willing to pay here. Let's say they are willing to pay 14, right, or 15, but in the market they just pay 10, right? So the gap between these two, the gap between what they are willing to pay and what they actually pay, that is known as consumer surplus. So you can compute consumer surplus for all quantities, for the first quantity, second quantity, third, and so on until QC. So if you total up all the surplus that you get for each quantities, then you're gonna get this triangle. Right? So this triangle is known as consumer surplus. These triangles indicates the benefits that the consumer gets by paying less than what they are willing to pay. Right. So similarly, for producer, right, this is the price that they receive. But supply curve indicates the lowest price that they are willing to accept. Right? Supply curve indicates the lowest price that they are willing to accept. Let's say for the first units, right? They are willing to accept, let's say $2, but in the markets they get tens or $5, right? They get more what they are willing to accept, right? And following increasing marginal cost, right? Supply curve is increasing, so the price that they are willing to accept is increasing. Right, so you can compute the producer surplus, right, for the first unit, second unit, third, and so on, until QC. So the whole area here represents producer surplus. The benefits that the producer gets by receiving more than what they are willing to accept. Right, so this is this curve indicates the lowest price that they are willing to accept. And the blue line here indicates the highest price that consumers is willing to pay. Right, so the gap between this and what they actually pay and receive indicates surplus. Right, so this is surplus for producer, this is surplus for consumer. Right. So under perfect competitions, okay, these are the size okay, of surplus. The benefits okay, received okay, by consumer. These are the benefits okay, received okay, by producer. Right. So if you combine these two, so it becomes total surplus, total benefits okay, to producers and consumer. Right. Now, okay, if we move okay, from perfect competitions okay, to monopoly, right? So earlier, okay, this was the price, right? This was the price. This was the price, and right, the green area is consumer surplus. The blue area is producer surplus. Now, okay, when it comes to monopoly, okay, this is the output kit that they produce, right? This is the price kit that they charge, right? This is the price kit that they charge. So this is also okay, the price kit that consumer pays. So for the first unit, okay, for example, okay, this is the price kit that they pay. Okay, they pay higher price. This is the maximum price kit they are willing to pay, right? So the gap key between these two okay, is known as a consumer surplus. So you can compute skill for all units, and the green area here still represents consumer surplus, right? And then okay, below this is producer surplus. Okay, producer surplus. Okay, if you look at this, is getting bigger, right? If you compare okay, between these two, right? This and this, right? You can see that okay, producer surplus is getting bigger, right? The benefits to producers, to firms is more, right? It's increasing, but benefits to consumers is getting less. It's getting smaller, right? And also, okay, if you total up okay, these two, then this plus this okay, becomes total surplus. Earlier, okay, the total surplus is from this to these blue black dots here and there, right? This is the whole area, okay, for total surplus okay, under perfect competitions. Okay, if you compare now, okay, with a monopoly, right? The total surplus okay, is smaller now, right? So in total, right? In total, okay, looking at this, okay, the total surplus in the market okay, shrink is getting smaller. And there is the reallocation scale of surplus, right? If you compare this scheme with the earlier one scheme, we can see that surplus, right? The total surplus is getting smaller, but at the same time, surplus that goes to producers is getting bigger, right? So basically, under a monopoly, right? A monopoly, okay, of firms benefit more as compared to consumers. Okay? Consumer surplus is getting less. Okay? They have to pay higher price. Not only that, okay, the quantity of goods okay, available in the market is getting smaller. So if you compare okay, the total surplus okay, is less okay, in monopoly, right? So this area okay, which is gone, which is missing, right, which is disappear okay, under a monopoly is known as this dead weight loss, right? This is the term that we describe the loss that we encounter, right, in monopoly, right, through reductions of surplus, both consumers and producer surplus. So basically, we compare between these two, we can see that perfect competition is a lot better as compared to monopoly. Not only the price is low, but surplus total surplus is more. All right, total benefits to the society. Society, I mean, both consumers and producers are bigger as compared to surplus, right, under monopoly. Right, so I would say that a perfect competition is better as compared to monopoly. Right, that's it. I think for monopoly. Right, so for the next topic, it's going to be macroeconomics actually, but I'm gonna go briefly on the other two structures, on monopolistic competitions and oligopoly, before we get into macroeconomics. So this Friday, get ready with macroeconomics, right? So there are 4 topics for macroeconomics. But before that, I'm going to take around 15 to 30 minutes for oligopoly and also monopolistic competitions. What do you have anything to ask?